All right, everybody, how's it going? We're going to be doing a deep analysis of the final presidential debate of 2020. We are roughly about a week out from the actual election, which is on November 3rd. I will be voting on election day. It's going to be very exciting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about my analysis of the debate. First off, I woke up this morning and I elected not to watch any of my buddies' analysis, any of my friends, any of my fellow contemporaries. I wasn't going to watch anybody's analysis, so this is my own original opinion. I haven't watched anybody else's opinion on this matter. So first off, let's get this out of the way. Who won? I lean more towards Trump winning. It appears that the aggregate, a lot of these instant polls, if that's what you want to call them, that propped up online, it seems like Trump dominated nearly every single one of them. Kyle Kulinski, that guy who looks like a feminist softball coach, he ended up posting it. Tens of thousands of people participated in this poll. They seem to have declared Trump the winner. But again, I'm going to leave that up to you. By what margin did Trump win? Let's talk about the worst aspects of the debate first, like just where both candidates sucked, where both candidates gave really stupid, silly answers. And this largely can be attributed to the fact that people have a very difficult time talking honestly about race for obvious reasons. Both candidates are walking on eggshells. So when just generally speaking, when they were talking about race in America and certain Americans being afraid because of the color of their skin, they're worried about being killed by police, being mistreated, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it's serious enough to warrant a discussion, but you have to do so honestly. And neither of the candidates were able to really get a good zinger, really make cogent, coherent points. Trump said he was the least racist president in America, and Joe Biden suggests that he is the most racist president ever in all of American history, failing to remember that some of our presidents during the infancy of our country owned human beings. They were slave owners, which is very unfortunate, very sad, obviously something that we should never look to doing again. But you can't claim somebody is the most racist person ever when they've never done something so egregious and heinous as owning another human being. But hey, that's just me. The answers that Trump gave were lackluster. Both candidates were pandering and kissing the ass of certain demographics, which I'm totally against. And I think it's actually belittling and humiliating for the individuals that are recipient of the ass kissing. You got to talk to people all people the same. You got to be consistent in your speech. You can't talk to one group this way and another group that way because it comes off as disingenuous. And Trump knows this. He's friends with all kinds of people all over the world. He's a party animal. This is not a hateful person. This is not a racist person. That is certainly true. But there are better ways to have addressed the questions that were passed on to both of these candidates. Trump should have said something along the lines of, while Vice President Joe Biden, while Joe Biden was in the Senate, he was calling Black Americans super predators. He was positioning himself and his allies in the Democratic Party to pass these horrendous crime bills that would result in tens of thousands, maybe millions at this point, of Americans ending up in our prison system, not getting a second chance in life, being displaced, being separated from their families unfairly, unjustly over nonviolent crimes. While Joe Biden was doing that, I was sharing a stage with Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali receiving the Ellis Island Award. While Joe Biden was calling Black Americans super predators, while he was afraid of his children growing up in a racial jungle, I was dating black chicks. I was hanging out with rappers. They say my name in their rap songs. And he wants to call me the most racist president in American history. Let me remind everybody that some of our presidents owned slaves. This is hyperbole. This is a liar. He's an empty suit. All he can do is repeat the talking points that were handed down to him by his puppet masters and just completely shatter this notion. And he should also say, while Joe Biden was putting people in jail, I was giving jobs and hope to the American people, to Black Americans in these cities that have been adversely affected by failed democratic policies. That's what he should have said. And then he should have continued with, and the fake news industry will never give me credit for it, but the Black Americans will remember, and they're going to march down to the polls on November 3rd, and they're going to vote for me because they know what I've done for them. The lies of the fake news media will not persist past this election. You'll see. And then boom, ended like that. It should have been easy. I kept, I told someone, it's like, dude, just give me 5 minutes with Trump, man. I'll try to get him ready. Because Joe Biden is operating, with like here's the thing. Here's the thing with Joe Biden. Like this guy is clearly, he's not all there. He's not physically well. He ain't with it. All right. He is not with it. He cannot do this. Me and my fellow contemporaries are watching all of these boring, these lame Biden events, these shitty car rallies. And he says the same thing at every single one. He has these pre-packaged, very family safe, very corporate friendly talking points that are easy to digest. Well, granted, some of the idiots eat it up, but for people like me, for regular Americans, we're not into it. We don't really care. But I have to do this because this is my job. But nonetheless, if you've watched any of his rallies, any of these crappy Zoom meetings, everything he said that at these events, he said in this final debate. It's easy to throw him off his game. And there were a few moments where the mask was slipping. The mask was slipping. And it revealed the weakness and the emptiness of the Joe Biden candidacy, of his campaign. This is a guy who stands for everything and stands for nothing. On one side of the mouth, he says he wants a Green New Deal, but on the other side of the mouth, he's like, "Fuck this thing, it sucks." And he's saying both things at the same time. And then of course the major zingers was President Trump kept antagonizing him, saying, "You were in the Senate for however many years. You were the vice president for 8 years. You guys had all these ideas. You had all these plans. You're talking a big game. Why haven't you done it? Why haven't you done it?" And finally, Biden responds, "Oh, well, because the Republicans were in Congress." And it was just the most awkward, cringy moment. It was absolutely devastating to Joe Biden. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, this is just profound weakness. It's like, oh, well, someone else wouldn't let me do it. It's like, well, you're supposed to be a leader. You and Obama are supposed to be leaders. You're supposed to be cutting through the obstruction. You're supposed to be making deals, and they're not able to do that. Trump is. He described in the debate earlier, and I have no doubt that this is true, that he had to twist arms and do all sorts of crazy nonsense and really duke it out with some of these career politicians to get anything done, like the Second Chance Act or whatever they want to call it, which, by the way, I disagree with. If Joe Biden wasn't a weak coward and he stood by his signature crime bills and whatnot, he would have said something along the lines of, well, President Trump passed this atrocious crime bill, and it largely has led to the rise in crime that we're seeing today. This piece of legislation has given permission of these jails and prisons to let out violent offenders like rapists and murderers and blah blah blah. And and for those who have a bad memory, in the 90s, crime was sky high, and me and my allies, we did something about it. Let's speak honestly about crime. Blah 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 blah. Something along that line. And instead, both of these candidates, in this moment of great weakness, were just kissing the ass of certain Americans. I'll just leave it at that. And I thought it was really cringy and stupid. But what else? Joe Biden said something along the lines of he will transition away from the oil industry. He will end this entire industry, and it's like, oh, we're gonna move to solar, all these new green jobs, and it's just like that's just not how that works. Somebody who works in existing energy sectors, like let's say fracking or the wrestling pipe in certain parts of the country, you can't just all of a sudden bring them out here, let's say to Nevada, and have them start installing solar. That's just not how it works. You got to have construction experience. You got to have electrical experience. You have to have all sorts of unique experience and knowledge to do that. You can't just like move an entire sector of people and move into a completely different line of work. Granted, it's energy, but it's not the same thing. Not even close. Somebody who installs solar is not the same as somebody who wrestles oil pipes in crazy extreme weather, or who does fracking. That's just not reality. So saying that you're going to take these people's jobs, and even the moderator, Tim Pool, ended up pointing this out. He's like, the moderator's like, why would you do that? And it's just like, dude, like, do you realize that the Rust Belt, the Midwest, the flyover states, a lot of these people depend on these jobs. And not only that, people all over the country depend on these jobs. I'm friends with quite a few, people mostly girls whose husbands or fiancés or whatever, or their boyfriends, they're oil workers, and they travel out. They're separated from their families for a duration of time, and then they come back, and it's I don't know how that arrangement works, but they make it work. And when things go bad for these families in terms of their job security, it's pretty devastating. So people all over the country rely on these jobs, and here you have the Vice President of the United States saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna get away from these things. We're gonna phase it out. We're gonna do his whole spiel, whatever he said." So yeah, this is not good for Joe Biden. And surprisingly enough, I did a video about this yesterday. But there was that laptop from hell. They ended up bringing it up. They actually talked about it quite a bit, and the entire time Joe Biden denies it. Of course, the evidence is undeniable at this point. The fake news industry has been trying to censor this information. I believe I've heard from some trusted people. I don't want to get too into it though. Trusted people, they've communicated to me that there's more damning evidence that cannot be ignored, that without a shadow of a doubt implicates Joe Biden and Hunter Biden in some serious crimes. Hunter Biden more so because of his interactions with underage girls with children. So we'll see how that plays out. We got a little more than a week until November 3rd. This is it, guys. So please make sure that you're registered to vote. Go out to the polls on November 3rd and make sure you have plenty of water. Make sure you go to the bathroom before you show up. And don't wear your Trump gear. Try to be respectful and go out there and support President Trump. Support the Republicans. The Democrats are suicidal. To vote for any Democrat would be like committing suicide. I'm sick of the Democratic Party and their shenanigans, and I don't stand for any of what they believe. Which again, it's like I don't even really entirely know what they believe. They throw out all this Green New Deal bullshit. All this open the borders nonsense, and no, I'm not for it. I'm not more taxes. Ban the guns. I mean, who knows? Shave my feminist penis, bigot. I'm not into it. I'm not into it. I'm not going to do any of the. I'm not going to play along with their schemes. But I'll leave off with some excellent news. More excellent news. I guess the Trump winning the debate is a big deal. But another Trump peace deal. Big news. President Trump has just announced that he brokered another major agreement. This one between Sudan and Israel, who have agreed to normalize relations. This follows two Trump peace deals between Israel and Bahrain and Israel and the UAE. So people are pretty excited about that. There's nothing more that I want than to see peace all throughout the world. World peace. World peace is great, right? All right. Peace out.